Okay, so we're getting a bunch of questions that are coming in online. We're going to start with one about teeth grinding. My 6-year-old grinds his teeth when he reads his books or while sleeping. His dentist did not provide any help. What can I do to help him? And one of the other viewers wrote in and said, has your dentist recommended a mouth guard? I know it's different being autistic, but it really helped me and made me stop grinding. So, Evelyn, any help for teeth grinding it while reading or while sleeping?
Well, the fact is that since he's doing it while he's sleeping, that's a very automatic. You know, when you're asleep and you're still doing that, that is where the learning to wear the teeth guard really does help. And that's everybody across the board. And if you have a BCBA there, they can help you. If he doesn't understand why it's in his mouth, they can do systematic desensitization so he gets used to it being in his mouth so that he can actually wear it during those time periods. The question about the reading, like he grinds his teeth while he's sleeping, it probably started as just a regular, behavior. And then if he's been doing it a while now, it's probably turned into some kind of habit or ritual. And so maybe when he now thinks, when I'm reading, this is what I should do with my teeth. And then if that's an issue, it's the same thing. You can use the mouth guard during that time. Like if he's going to read, this is what he needs to wear. But you don't want, actually, if it becomes a punishment where he doesn't want to read books anymore, and that's a good thing for him, then what you work on is you work with your BCBA on creating a behavior plan on reinforcing basically reading with no teeth grinding. But if he's doing it naturally, you would have to be there. So every time he picks up a book, someone's nearby and doing some kind of reinforcement to show him that the behavior that you really want is just to read with no teeth grinding. And if he does grind his teeth, maybe the book disappears a little bit and then you bring it back in so that he starts to learn that, oh, you want me to read books, but I'm not supposed to do this thing with my mouth. But they will have, your BCBA does need to go in and look at the function of the behavior. Is it sensory where he just likes that feeling too? And, you're looking at it from that point of view and then creating a behavior intervention plan on that way? Or is it just really just purely habitual and automatic now because he just paired the two where he knows, he thinks that every time he reads, he should be doing that? You never know what it is. So if you have a BCBA come in and do a functional behavior assessment, try to figure it out, why he's doing it, and then be able to attend to it that way. That's what they do. And, the dentist really, usually, I'm surprised they actually didn't suggest a mouth guard. Most dentists do right away.
And she said that she wrote back to the viewer and said, he didn't mention a mouth guard, probably because my son being 6, and like you said, I doubt he will tolerate it. It will be a battle, unfortunately. And what makes me mad about that is that I will tell you, you're going to see this time and time again where doctors who aren't as well trained and well versed in autism, when you tell them that your child has autism, they're going to change what they think is the medical path for your child. Now, on the one hand, we can appreciate that because, no child is alike, but it makes me mad that they won't even consider, because you have hopefully a behaviorist who's working with you, and you can have this child be systematically desensitized to a mouth guard. It may take a long time, but to just go, he has autism, so I'm not even going to talk to you about this path, makes me mad at him. Certainly not mad at you. But I want for everybody, watching, because the time that I remember, what they say, if it's hysterical, it's historical. And I'm mad right now because my son had the flu when he was in pre-K. And there was another little boy in his class who did not have autism, who had the flu. They were both horribly sick. In the same 24-hour period, we went to the emergency room, had the same doctor. The other little boy was given an IV with fluids and was back to school in 3 days. My son was not given an IV with fluids. And when I asked why, he said, well, because he had autism, I didn't think he would tolerate it. And he was sick for 2 more weeks. And that was the last time for me. I tell doctors when I need to tell them, and when they start to say, well, we wouldn't do that, I would go, why? Because behaviorally, we know what we're doing. Don't tell me you're not going to give him medical treatment because you're afraid of how he's going to react. It makes me mad. Okay, now ask me how I really feel. But you can call that dentist back up and say to them, listen, I want to have a conversation about the mouth guard. I'm going to be getting some help to work on that so that they don't feel like they're responsible for it. But systematic desensitization, Evelyn, is, it's a thing. It's widely available. It works remarkably. Do you want to talk about that for 2 seconds?
Yeah, I was going to actually add to this, just because I have children and I have all this experience now with teeth and everything else, is the technology has really changed on this. So like for teeth grinding, a lot of times, a lot of like the doctors or orthodontists, they actually there's machines in the office now where they make it to form your teeth, where it's almost like a plastic retainer. It's almost like an Invisalign. And they use that now for people who grind their teeth. And what's great about that machine is it's a little bit on the pricey side, but you can choose colors and designs and all this kind of stuff now, which was not available previously. And sometimes if you have a child who loves blue or loves the Hulk and, or whatever it is, that if they can design their own, our kids, when they like something, they really love things. And the fact that that is there now, that might be one thing that will entice your child to be able to put this in their mouth, one step of it, because he really loves whatever it is. And so that, that's technology now that's catching up, to helping us. But systematic desensitization is, for some reason that child does not like, whether it's how to wear a sweater or the feeling of something on their skin or the taste of a certain type of food or the feeling of a toothbrush in their mouth, whatever it may be. Systematic desensitization is it's a technique where we slowly get the child used to whatever that feeling is or taste is or whatever it is, and they slowly acclimate it. And it's very, very methodical how long they get introduced to it. And he might put it in his mouth for 1 second and we're going to praise him right at the beginning. But the next time we're going to say, okay, now we're going to put it in there for 2 seconds. And that's why it might take a long time, but it works. And the thing is, you give him a reinforcer every time he does, participate in this whole methodology of getting used to something. And so then hopefully he'll start to pair whatever that good reinforcer is with having access to that reinforcer. So it's a behavioral technique that has been tried and true. And most of the time when it doesn't go right, it's because the jumps and steps were too big. And people say, oh, we tried systemization, didn't work. And it's usually because they went from like 1 minute to 2 minutes. And hey, you know what? 1 minute to 2 minutes is something that you hate could be a really long time for that person that hates it. So it's really slowing down the process and letting them really adjust to whatever the feeling, taste, whatever it is that they're having to get used to, sound, and doing it very slowly and over a course of time and very methodically. And you really have to commit to it, because the more time and exposure that child has to whatever that thing that he's not tolerating to, the more time and the more effort and the more exposure, he'll get it much faster. So you do really have to commit to it once you start, but you just have to make sure you're doing it slowly enough and that you're consistently pairing it with something that he likes, and it does work. They get used to it.
Sorry, I'm muted.
Yeah, mute.
Sorry, because I have a dog now here with me in the room, and it was eating very loudly, and I didn't want to share that with all of you, so I muted myself. But anyway, I was just going to say, because, we inherit a dog when my friend passed away a couple of weeks ago, and I have a dog that doesn't like to be around other dogs. And so we are having to use systematic desensitization. If you watch, Temple Grandin was the one who was telling me, to keep doing it because it was working. But of course, I jumped a little bit and I tried to go a little too fast. And this is the thing that we do as parents. We have to forgive ourselves for that. But when you find yourself pushing and you've gone too far, go back to the last thing that was working, and then go very slowly. We see this in our lives all the time because we do daylight savings time. And, normally the sun sets like about 55 seconds difference every day. And you and I don't notice it. It's just like we just don't notice it because it's such a small amount that we don't notice it. But when it's a full hour, we all freak out for a week. We freak out for a week. And yet it happens every day for 55 seconds. And now if every day it changed by just 10 more seconds instead of that hour, we'd never notice. And we'd all just go, we go, look at that. It's getting darker much earlier now. We would never even notice. But that, we decided to make that leap of the hour, and we all there's more car accidents the week after the clocks go back because people are like, I can't sleep. I don't know what to do. I'm all thrown off for a whole week. So we're doing systematic desensitization all the time without even realizing it. The universe gives it to us. Okay, so definitely go back to that dentist. And she said, thanks, ladies, for all the help. Go back to that dentist, have a conversation, and make him help you because your child deserves treatment. Just because he's on the spectrum and things may take longer does not mean that he doesn't deserve it.
Hey, thanks for watching Autism Live. To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.